Welcome to one and all. We are Alexa developers, SRM, officially affiliated with Amazon Alexa. Alexa is a voice service that provides Amazon Echo, provides capabilities or skills that enable customers to interact with devices through voice. Venturing into a future where technology is controlled by voice rather than other forms like touch, we harbor developers that showcase best of their skills to vibe with Alexa. Powered by Amazon Alexa, we conduct informative workshops, hackathons, and online competitions to build a strong vocal network. A very good and a warm evening to all of you. I am Tarushi Garg, a first year CSE student, a business associate at Alexa Developers Club, and I welcome you all to the day one of Sensei training session, Introduction to JavaScript. Before starting, I would like to thank our title sponsor, Seaport AI. On the felicitous time where our club turns one, we have developed with a very new and innovative mentorship come trainee program to aid learners learn new technologies of tech industry from scratch. The online training session Sensei is not just restricted to students of SRM, rather it is open to all. This event is going to be first of its kind, a 6 week long program where the learners receive a lot of insights and breadth of view on technical languages and skills. During this session, if you have any doubt, drop it in the chat box or you can reach our Discord server mentioned in the chat. Our team officials will clear it out. Now, I would like Pratyusha, our technical associate at Alexa Developers SRM, to come forward and take over the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Arushi. Good evening, everyone. I am Pratyusha Raut, a first-year student from CSE Cybersecurity. I welcome you all to Sensei today. So let's start with our event. But before that, I would like to say, if you have any doubts or any queries, you can post it in the chat box or you can even ping us in our Discord server. So let's start. Our topic for today being JavaScript. So here goes the agenda of the meeting. At first, we'll be looking into some of the introduction, some basics of JavaScript. Then we'll move on to arrays. And finally, we'll end with objects. First, let's start with introduction to JavaScript. So we all have heard the term JavaScript. It's a programming language and we all know it's used to increase the interactivity of web pages. But what is JavaScript and why it has got such a wide range of applications? Firstly, simply speaking, it's a very lightweight and interpreted programming language with first-class functions. Lightweight here means it's very easy to implement and its syntax is quite minimalistic. It's an interpreted programming language, which means it is such a type of programming language which can run over an interpreter with a virtual machine and first-class functions. First-class functions means functions in JavaScript can be treated as a variable. Like we can assign a value just like a variable. We can even pass it as an argument in many functions. So therefore, it's a first-class functions. Many non-browser environments also use JavaScript. So many people think that only it runs in browsing environments, but no. One common example I can give is Node.js. It's a backend JavaScript runtime environment which can actually execute JavaScript code even outside a web browser. Now, the standard of JavaScript is ECMAScript. ECMAScript is a standard, and it's said that JavaScript is the most famous language that implements ECMAScript. So here are the three ways we can declare a variable in JavaScript, that is var, let, and const. Var is a global scope variable, while let and const are block scope variable. Okay, we cannot perform much functions with the const because of some of the restrictions which I'll be telling you. But mostly keep this in mind that var has got a global scope and let and const are block scope. So now for the coding portion, we can move to the new. We can move to a new tab, jsfiddle.net. So var, as said, var is a global scope variable, while let and const, they are block scope. So one more important thing about JavaScript is that we don't need to keep any data type before declaring variables. In other language, what we do is when we are declaring an integer variable, we write it as int variable name equal to 5 like that, or string or cat. But in JavaScript, we don't need to write any int or a string or cat. We can simply declare a variable like suppose var a equals to 5. This is how we declare a variable using var. We can also declare with let like this. Suppose I want to declare a character, so I can simply write it as g, or I want to declare with const a string variable, I can simply write like this. This was all about declaring var, let and const. Now how to print them. For printing, we use this statement of console.log. Whatever we write in the console.log gets printed in over the console over here. Like suppose I want to print A and I run, it will give me 5. See here, it gave me 5. Similarly, if I write B, it will be give J. If I give C, it will give JavaScript. So this was the way to declare a value which is stored in a variable. Now, if I want to print something and I don't want to store it in a variable, so I can just give double quotes and I want to write suppose hello world. And I run. It will give me hello world. And suppose if I want to print something, that would be the combination of both. Like I want to print hello JavaScript. So hello, I'm giving it from my end within the double quotes. And I want to print the value that is stored in the const C. For that, we will just give a plus and C. And it will give me hello JavaScript. Yeah. So quick recap. If I want to, there are 3 ways to declare variables, var, let, and const. If I want to declare something that I've stored it in the variable, I can simply pass the variable name inside console.log. If I want to print something which I want to give, like which I do not want to store it in a variable, I'll just give 2 double quotes and I'll pass the thing. And if I want to print a combination of first 2 statement, I'll just give hello and plus C. Like double quotes, the thing that I want to give from my end, and plus C is the thing that will be printed, which was stored in the variable C. So this was all about how we can initialize a variable and how we can print. Now, as said, I will show you the scope of var, let, and const. Suppose I give var let, var is 5 and let a is equal, b is equal to 10, suppose. And var a equals to 5. And I give a condition statement that if a is greater than 3, I'll declare another variable, let b equals to 10. And I do a console.log over here of variable a and a console.log of b. And I run. It will give me the results 5 and 10. But the moment I will bring this console.log of b outside, it will give me an error because the scope of let is only within these 2 curly braces. See here, the value of a was correctly printed. It gave me the 5, and value of b, it showed me an error, b is not defined. Similarly, if I print this outside, it would give me the same result. A value will be printed, but for B, it will be giving me an error. Yeah. See, the 5 is printed for A, and for B, it gave me an error. So that was about var and let. Var can be globally scoped. And even if I put var within this curly braces, it won't give me any error. So yeah, this error is because I didn't declare var above it. Yeah. So this was all about var and let. Var, as said, it is a global scope variable, and let is a block scope variable. Now the problem with const is that const can never be redeclared or it can never be updated. For like if I give const a is equal to 10, and after that if I want to change the variable to a equals to 5, it will give me an error. So that's why we don't use const much. It's just a read only variable. Now one thing, var can be redeclared and it can be updated, but let can only be updated. Like if I declare var p is equal to 6, again I'm declaring var p equals to 8, and I do a console.log of p. It will give me 8. I'm redeclaring and updating, but the same thing when I'll do with let, it will give me an error. Because let can never be redeclared, let can be updated. See here. Because I'm trying to redeclare here. If I just try to update it over here, now it will give me 8. So a quick recap for var, we can redeclare and we can update. Let cannot be redeclared, but let can be updated. And const, it cannot be reassigned. So that was all about variable declarations. Now we'll move on to JavaScript array and array methods. So we all know what are arrays. So in case if you don't know, array is nothing, but it's just a data structure that contains a collection of elements, and the elements are of same data type, so just string or array. So a string or integer. If it's an integer array, all the elements must be of integer type, and if it's a string array, all the elements must be of string. Suppose you can relate it with the example. Suppose if you have a bag and there are books inside the bag is the array, and books are the elements. So there are nothing else except the books. We cannot add 2 pens and 2 books over there. We can, if I want to add something, I can only add books to it. So that's what array means. It's a collection of similar type of elements. The elements must be similar. As said, integer array means elements has to be integer. String array means elements have to be in string. So that's what array is, just a collection of group of elements. So JavaScript array class is a global object that is used in the construction of arrays. And arrays use integers as element indexes and start at the index 0. One more thing about array is when an array element is passed, it starts from the index 0. Suppose and in the school bag, you have 5 books. But the first book, whenever you will enter, the index will be at 0. Second book, whenever you enter, the index would be at 1. So it always starts with the index 0. Array indexes never start with index 1. It always starts with index 0. Now I'll show you how to declare an array. So array, you can declare 2 types. First, we can ask the user to input it, and secondly, we ourselves can declare the array. So first, I'll show you how the user can declare it. So this is how we declare an array. Okay. Next, I give the size as the size is equal to 5. Now I start a loop. Why did I start the loop at 0? Because as said, the index position always starts with 0. It never starts with 1. And after that, I want to accept the elements. and I want to print the elements. So here, just because I have written it prompt here, just I have written it prompt. 1 minute, I'll just zoom the screen. Yeah. So just because I have written a prompt over here, the prompt actually comes in this way. It's actually kind of alert. In many web pages, we'll find when you are saving something or when you are uploading something, it generally shows a prompt that are you sure you want to save or are you sure you want to exit? So prompt is just a kind of alert here. So the first element I want to enter here, suppose 5. Okay. Then 6. So here we print the array elements 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what we do, this is the how we declare an array in JavaScript, where ARR is the name of the array. You can give it anything. Size, it's actually how many elements you want to enter over here. And here is the loop. For each element, for each value of I, it prints the prompt. It gives the prompt of enter the element. I have entered the size here 5. That's why 5 times it showed me a prompt to enter the element. Then it did a console.log of error. This is how we print the array elements. So this line prints the array. For printing the array, we just need to give the array variable. There is an array variable in which we have stored the array. So we have stored the array in ARR. We just give ARR and it's print over here. So this was one type how we can ask the user to input the array. Now suppose one more easier way to declare an array is we ourselves can give it. Like, let's take something different. Suppose months. I want to enter the months. Like first I give Jan, then I give Feb, then I give March. So here, this is how I'm declaring an array. This is also one of the most easiest way to declare an array. Now, how to access the array properties? If I want to print only January, okay. So how will I do that? I will simply do a console.log months third bracket, and within the third bracket I will put the index position. As said, January will be at index 0, February at 1, March at 2, and April at 3. So if I want to print January, I will give 0 and not 1 because array index always starts with 0. It gave me Jan. Now if I count it from 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to print April and I give 4, it will give me an error. Undefined, because the months of 4 doesn't even exist. So this is how we can actually access each element of an array. Now suppose I want to print the entire array, not only a single element, I want to print the entire array. So as said in the previous example, I will just write the array name. We don't need to give third brackets, we just need to pass the variable. See, Jan, Feb, March, and April. So just a quick recap. This is how I declared a variable within third brackets, and string array means anything you put inside, you have to put it under double quotes. Then this is how I access a single element from an array, starting from index 0. We can always start with index 0, never with 1. And this is how I can print the entire array. So this is how for accessing, we just need to put third brackets. For printing the entire array, we don't need to put the third brackets. Now we'll move on to some instance properties and methods. So length is a very important instance property. Almost everywhere we will be using array, we will be coming across this length property. And the length property is only the only property that will start from index 1. Like I said, array index always start with 0, but the length, like us, will start counting from the position of 1. Okay, so let's see how it works. Suppose I don't know the size of the array. Here I have input the array, that's why I know their size is 4. But if I don't know, for that we will just simply do months.length. It's a property, so we won't be putting any brackets over here. So for months.length, it won't be starting from 0. Length property will always start from position 1. I'll run, it showed me 4. It won't show me 3. Only the length property is the property that will start from index 1 and not from index 0. So with this we printed the length. Now the next is the fill. So the fill is a method. Fill method, what it does, it fills all the element from an array from a start index to end index. For using method fill, we have to pass 3 arguments. The first argument will be the variable or any name or with which month I want to fill. The second argument will be the starting index, and third argument will be the end index. The first argument that is being passed will be filled in the array from start index to the position of end index minus 1. It would never go to till the end index. Its position will only be till end index minus 1. Suppose I want to change February, March, April with July. So for that, I'll be doing a months.fill. July. This is the argument that I want to fill the array with. I want to fill February, March, April with July. Next, as I said, will be the starting index. Starting index will be, if this is 0, this would be 1. I'll write the starting index as 1. Next is the position of end index. End index actually means the array will be filled from the position of end index to the position end index minus 1. So over here, end index means 3. So I'll just give 4 because July will be filled from 1, 2, and 3. The result will be, you'll see Jan and July here. So it will take the position from first index to the position of end index minus 1. It would never be filled at the end index position. So 3 arguments. First argument is the element with which I want to fill the array. Second argument would be the starting position. Third argument would be the end position. But this July won't reach till the end position. It would be filled till the position of end index minus 1. So this was how I filled an element in the array. Next is the pop and the push. Pop and push are just the opposite things. Pop, what will do? It will remove the last element from the array and it would return which element it has removed. And push would add an element at the end of the array and would return the new length of the array. So it's just the opposite. Pop would remove the last element. Suppose as given in the last, I was giving the example of the school of a bag and there were books. I will remove the last book and I'll tell you which book I have removed with the method pop. And with the method push, I will be inserting a new book in the bag and I'll saying how many total books are there in the bag. So for pop, you don't need to pass any variable. We just need to do console.log months.pop and we run. Achha, by the way, now the array is not this one. The array has been changed to this Jan, July. This is now my array. This is not my array. Now this is my array because I have modified it now. So months.pop, it removed the last element July and it printed that it has removed July. So this is the function of pop. It will remove the last element and will print which element it has removed. So right. Next I said was the push. What it does, it add an element to the end of the array and it return the new length of the array. That is, I'll add a book and I'll say how many total books are there inside the bag. I do console.log. Now I want to push an element, suppose this element is already being removed. I want to add an element of November at the end. And I run. It showed me 4 because now the new array is Jan, July, July, and November. For that, you can, for simply checking, you can do a console.log of months. It will show you the final array. The final array is Jan, July, July, November. So what pop did? This was the array. This was the array. Pop did. It removed the last element. It removed July. See, it printed that it's removed July. And what push did? It added an element November at the end. Okay. A difference between pop and push, they will just do the opposite work, and pop will print which element it has removed, and push will print what is the new length of the array now. So that was all about pop and push. Now we move on to filter and map. So before moving on to filter and map, I'll just need to show you a simple arrow function. So how we can declare a function in JavaScript? We do is function x, and suppose I want to increase the value of x by 2. So what I'll do, I'll just return x plus 2. In JavaScript, in short, I can write this as x to x plus 2. So this is the short function. Like this, instead of writing these 2 lines, we can write it in a single line. X is changing to x plus 2. We'll just do it like this. This is an arrow function actually. Now we'll move on to the filter method. What the filter method does is it returns a new array containing elements of calling array, providing the filter function true. Suppose in my bag, there are history books, science books, all the books are mixed, and I only want to take out the history books, and history books are colored red. So what will I do is, I'll simply check which books I read and filter this out. It won't change the entire array. I'll just filter them. Suppose, as I said, red books are the history books. I'll check which books are red in color, and I'll just take them out. So this is what the filter function does. It will filter the elements. It will always reduce the length of the array. Suppose I do a filter that whichever month's lengths we have seen the months.length. This January month has a length of 3. Feb has a length of 3. So I'll just change whichever month has a length greater than 3. I only want to print them in the array. It showed me only July and July, because Jan has a length of 3, November has a length of 3. How it works? It's taking Jan, it's checking is Jan's length greater than 3? No. It's moving to the next element, July. It's taking July, it's checking is its length greater than 3? Yeah, it's saying yes, then it's printing. Again, it's moving to July, it's checking its length greater than 3, it's saying yes, again it's printing. Again, it moves to November, it checks its length is greater than 3, no, its length is equal to 3, so it doesn't print November, it only printing Jan and it's only printing July and July. So this is what the filter function does. It can only decrease the size of the array, or the size of the array will remain same, but after filtering, array size can never increase. Next is the map. Map is a sort of like filter, but it's different. It will change the entire array. With the map function, it returns a new array containing the results of calling a function on every element. Suppose I want to change the cover of all my books in a bag with a black cover. So what will I do is I'll take out each and every book from the back. I'll cover it with a black cover and then I'll put it. So what it is doing, it's changing my entire array. Previously, before applying the map, suppose my books were covered with red, yellow, blue, green, every color. But after applying map, what I do, I take out each book, I'm covering it with a black paper, and then I'm inserting. So it's changing the entire array completely. So over here also it's the same. It will change the entire array. Suppose I want to change them to uppercase letters. To uppercase converts any string to uppercase alphabets, or you can say capital letters. To lowercase will convert it into lowercase. So I wanted to print it in the uppercase. See, it changed my entire array to uppercase letters. So many functions can be done with the map and the filter property. These two are very important. So this what it does, it filters and this will change an array. Also in the map property, the size cannot increase, cannot decrease. Only in the pop, push, filter, and fill, these methods can decrease or you can alter the size. Filter can always decrease, but it can never increase. Pop can always decrease. Push will always increase, and fill will never change. Sorry, fill will never change the size of the array. So quick recap. This is how we declare an array within third brackets, and if it's a string array, we will be putting double quotes and we will be passing the elements. Next, we will be accessing the array elements like this. We will be giving the position. We will be giving the position of the array and index starting from 0 always. This is how we print the entire array. Just we will give the name of the variable in which the array is stored. Next is the months.length. The length property, what it does, it will give the length of the array. It will count just like us starting from 1 and not from 0. Length only property that will not count, start counting from 0. Fill property, it will be giving three alpha, will be passing three arguments. First argument is the word or anything that we want to fill an array with. That will be the starting index. Third would be the ending index. But this element would be filled from the position of starting index to the position of end index -1. Then is the pop method. It will remove the last element. Then is the push. Push will actually add an element at the end. Push will add an element at the end. Pop will removal of last element and it will print which element it has removed. Push will add an element at the end and it will show the new length of the array. This is again how we are declaring the total array. Months.filter, it will filtering out, it will check, it will make each and every element of the array to undergo a condition or anything that we have entered over here, and then it will filter. It can reduce the size or the size can remain the same, but it can never increase the size. And next is the map property. It will change the entire array. It will be getting a completely new array once you apply a map property. It's not like the filter. Filter will just filter it, and map will be changing the entire array. So that was all about instance properties and instance methods. Length is a property and fill, pop, push, filter, map. These are the methods. So next we will move on to objects. So what are objects? So objects are a group of entities having some common characteristics and behaviors. And JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language. It follows the OOPS principle, it object-oriented programming language. So we'll be seeing how to create objects, how to access objects, and how to delete. So before that, we can just have a look that objects can be created using object constructor or the object initializer, and it is used to store keyed collections and more complex entities. So there are two ways with which I can create an object. First is without using the new keyword, and the next is with using the new keyword. Suppose this is the object over here is person, and I want to name it as Katyusha, comma, surname as Raut, comma, and I give a function. I want to print the entire name. So what will I do? I'll give a function return this dot name plus space plus this dot surname. What the this keyword does is it will refer to the current object. Current object over here is there are many times we have to pass different variables. Like here I'm giving that the name is Pratyusha, surname is Raut, but there are many times where this will be getting changed. For first time if it's Pratyusha, next time it can be Riya, like that. It can be changed to many times. So for this thing, we will be using the keyword this. It will refer to the current object. When the name is Pratyusha, it will print Pratyusha. When the name is Riya, it will be printing Riya. So I do want to print the full name. Do a person dot full name. See here, it printed Pratyusha Raut. So here it's a hazardous to write a function over here. Then we'll be using a this keyword. So we don't prefer this method much. So this was the way we declared an object. Person is the object over here, and these are the properties: name and the surname and the full name. So name I gave here my name Pratyusha, surname as sorry Raut, and then I declare for the full name I want to print. I give this dot name plus this dot surname. What does this keyword does is this keyword will always refer to the current object, and then I print the full name function, and it showed me Pratyusha Raut. Now suppose I want to do the same thing using the new keyword. I again write var is equal to person equals to new object. Using new keyword is always recommendable. For this reason, you'll get to know. So here, if I want to print my name, I can simply do over here as person dot name plus space plus person dot surname. See, so this way is relatively easy because this new keyword, what it does, it allocates a memory. It instantiates a class and it allocates a memory. And it also binds then this keyword that we have used previously, that it binds the new keyword, binds this keyword to the function, and it becomes quite easier to use. That's why we always go by this new keyword approach. So this is how I declared an object. This is how I named the properties over here. And this is how I print it and accessing the elements over here. Now suppose I want to delete a property. So for that, we will be doing a delete person, that is the name of the object, within third brackets, under double quotes, the property. And after this, I do a console.log of person.name. This second statement will be giving me an error. See here, it gave me undefined because it has already deleted this name property. So this was the way I declared an object. This person.name, person.surname, these are the ways I declared the properties under the object of person. We just need to put person.name. This is the how I accessed each property. Even if I give only person, it will show Pratyusha only. So this is how I am accessing an object. Just the first thing that we have written to declare the variable. This is how we can delete a property. And this is again how we are printing. So for deleting, it's very simple. We give the object name within third brackets. Under double quotes, we give the property. Okay. So that was how we can declare an object, access object properties, and this is how we delete a property. So that's all for today. You can connect with me over LinkedIn @Pratyusha Raut or my GitHub account @Pratyusha2001. And don't forget to join our Discord community. You will be getting a lot of things over here, from clearing your doubts to getting info about your events, everything over there. Do follow our Discord. Do follow us on Instagram @AlexaDevSRM and post your feedback at feedback.alexadevsrm.com. Your insights are quite helpful for us to shape our future events. So any doubts you have, you can feel free to ping us in our Discord community, or you can also put it in the chat box over here. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. I hope you liked the session.
Thank you, Pratyusha, for informing us about the JavaScript, and it was very useful. And thank you, our lovely audience, who made our event more special with their presence. And we would like to thank our sponsors for today's event. Our title sponsors, Seaport AI, our official saving partner Grabon, our ideation partner Seshido, our publicity partner TechRoller, and our technical partner Repl.it. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. If you have any doubts, you can, as Pratyusha said, put it in the chat box, or you can also ping us on Discord server. The link is mentioned in the chat box itself. Thank you.